Good morning, YouTube. I could talk a little candidly this morning. Greetings and welcome. The phone be tripping on that corner, y'all. Y'all gonna ride with me on in. I pray everybody's doing well. For those who have just joined us, this is Amuna. And I said, let me just start this little segment where we have some of these real deal everyday conversations. So I was listening in, like I said before, not all of these topics that are brought up are dealing with me in particular, but I was listening to a segment where a young lady was sharing her experience, and I wanted to share a little bit of it because of the callers' responses. Like on that particular platform, the person shares their experience, and then when they're done, the callers call in. And I realized that a lot of our advice that we give is based on our worldview, right? And so essentially, the young girl, she was an orphan. She stated that she met her, what is now husband, and then 7 days later they were engaged, and a few months later they were married. They were together, they were in love, they were like bati and bench, as we would say, right? They everywhere one went, the other went. And as they went along, they met into some financial issues. I think when we're listening to situations, we have to listen for cues, right? So she said they had some financial troubles. For those who just joined us, she said they had some financial troubles. I was like, okay, interesting. And he lost his job, and after he lost his job, all of the responsibility, like we were speaking about yesterday, all of the responsibility for maintaining the household fell on her shoulders. So she said during that time she fell into a depression. Okay, and when she fell into the depression, she no longer engaged sexually with her husband. Okay, this is what the young lady is saying. So months passed. 9 is what she counted. 9 months of which she did not engage with her husband. She denied her husband, as some people would say. At which time he was complaining of physical discomfort because I'm not in that space. And ultimately he goes out there and he picks up a crazy who claims she was pregnant for him, and the story goes down here from there. And so I'm thinking about the whole scenario that she laid out, and looking at the way in which we look at to do what he's going to do. He's going to do what he's going to do. And y'all can let me know, brothers, if he's denied or not. So when the audience had an opportunity to chime in, like, oh, you were wrong, don't you know you're the cause, you're the reason he had to go out and find another woman. And I'm like, well, hold on. I have questions. Okay, I have questions, and the root of one of the questions that I have is about whether or not sexual intercourse between the male and the female, the husband and the wife, is supposed to be for pleasure, or is it supposed to be for procreation, or is it supposed to be for both? And we'll use this scenario as we'll use this scenario as he was turning that way. We'll use this scenario that I just gave. So they're broke, right? And he doesn't have a job. She's stressed and depressed. If they engage in sexual intercourse as a married couple, it's either A, she conceives and has a child and brings the child into a situation where they already are at their wits' end. B, she's responsible for using some type of prophylactic, some birth control to prevent the natural course of giving birth, because that's what procreation is for. Because if it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't need birth control. Or C, he would have to use a prophylactic that will hinder the manifestation of another soul coming into the earth. And so it got me to thinking that the thought process that intercourse is supposed to be solely for pleasure is not necessarily based on all of the clues, the context clues, that it is out of order. Y'all help me out. A lot of the last time I brought this up in another space, people were like, Momuna. But I'm like, look at all of the things you have to do to prevent what naturally will come from an interaction. That must mean that we, the people, humanity, should look at what we're doing. That means the thought that's connected to it is that this is the system that's going in your reproduction. It may be pleasurable while you're doing it for some, or for others not, but this is the system that's supposed to be aiding in that aim. That means it has a goal. The goal or the aim or the outcome is not solely pleasure. The goal or the aim or the outcome is reproduction. And the mindset, and it's also in the New Testament, and that's why a lot of people say your body is not your body and his body is not his body, and if you're burning in lust, and it's like, wait a minute, let's back up from this. I heard one time somebody use a term, and it stuck with me: domesticated desires. I was like, domesticated desires? What in the world? But when you think about when people say that the man has more desires and therefore he should be able to have multiple women, or he should be able to have, the question is, if he's using his reproductive system for what it's made for, it doesn't matter how many women he goes to. If he follows the natural course, then he's going to have all of that responsibility for that which he has created. But because we have so many stop gaps in place, so many measures in place to stop what ultimately is supposed to come about, the responsibility of what one is doing is no longer there. One of the most troubling methods is abortion, right? And I'll talk about that at another time. But in short, often I think about the spirituality of abortion. If we understand that life and allowing life to come into the earth is an opportunity for that soul that you are inviting into this realm, for that soul to go through the levels so that it can purge, it can purify, it can grow, it can elevate, right? So it's like tag. You ever play tag? People are running around, right? If they tap you, you frozen. And if they untap you, then you can play the game again, right? You guys remember tag? So when you get tapped out, it's kind of like leaving this realm, right? And you're frozen. You're still present. You're still aware. You still can see what's going on. That's like being in the spiritual realm. But only when that male and female comes together to create a body, that's, my bad, somebody did something that ensured that you never had an opportunity to play again. We are really looking at, just based on the numbers, millions and millions and millions of abortions, I don't think we're really looking at the way our behavior, the short-term choices, has a long-term effect. Now, is the situation going to ever be perfect to bring a child into the world? You know, for many people, no. But there should be some factors there. There should be some contributing factors that go into off. He has a responsibility to be conscious of what he's doing. Conscious of, okay, I'm going to go, if the woman is the soil and the man is the seed, right? If she's in depression state, then the question is this the proper time to sow? If it is the dead of winter and nothing, and the ground is covered with 5 feet of snow, is this the proper time to sow your precious seed, your heirloom tomatoes, your cucumbers, your squash? In the dead of winter? Really? That's the proper time to sow seed? That wouldn't make any sense. If someone is a farmer and they know the value of seed and they know the value of planting at the proper time, they would say absolutely not. But because we're not going into, married or not, we're not going into this space understanding really what we are doing, the power of what we're doing and the implications of what we're doing. We just let our animal mind, our lower self, dictate to us that we just need this feeling. We have to say at some point, like, yo, something is off. You understand what I'm saying? Like, something is off. You have, and I'm not saying people should become monks, but you have monks, not necessarily the priests, because the priests, you know, there's some evidence that they was over there filling up on the nuns, and, you know, they got dead babies under the stuff. I mean, so they say, allegedly. But you have an opportunity to learn how to domesticate your desires if you're a male, right? They have understanding of how to domesticate your desires so that when you go into your wife, not just random people, you're going in to create with intention. So it is also with the woman. When she's ready to receive, she's receiving with intention. If we don't want the responsibility of bringing another soul into the earth, then why are we going to go make bread? You know what I mean? Why are we stirring up the pot and putting all the ingredients and getting, how about if those souls were like watching? You know what I mean? It could get freaky and weird. But if they're like watching and waiting, you have some souls who said they chose their parents. If they're watching and waiting for the opportunity to come into the earth only to understand that they're blocked. And then we wonder why there's some really off spirits when they do come. You may have a mother who had 2, 3, 4 abortions before she got married, right? And that soul was robbed each and every time. And then you have some souls that come into the earth and you're like, what in the world is up with this person? There's trauma. There is trauma. There was a book I was reading about near-death experiences. I was telling you guys, I think his name is Weiss, Dr. Mark Weiss, I believe his name is, PhD. And he did all of these studies about people who had near-death experience. Was it PhD? Yeah, that's him, Weiss. Who had near-death experiences and traumatic exits from the body. So if this soul is chilling in the womb, right? Like, yep, this is going to be my new spot. My house is getting built, right? I'm going to jump in there when the time comes. And then all of a sudden, rip. That soul is ripped from the womb, or that soul is dismembered, because that's what they do in certain levels of abortion. They dismember, take an arm off, take a leg off. It's really gruesome. It's not like, oops, you took a pill and the baby is out. It's like dismembering, ripping apart this body. And if the soul is recording these traumatic experiences, what do we think we're doing in the spiritual realm? In the spiritual realm. So for those who just joined us, I was chopping it up. Like I said, I saw a video where the people were getting on the young woman, saying it was all her fault that the man went out and cheated. Ultimately, he made a choice. Being given the fact that he didn't have a job, he could have took that energy and put it into looking for a job. What we don't understand oftentimes is that the creative energy, which is where our reproductive system is in this energy to create. That's why they call it making love. You making something, you're doing something, you're creating something, right? You're feeding something. Either you're feeding lust or desire, or you're feeding love, you're feeding something. So it is an opportunity for the husband and the wife to connect. But it's to connect, to create. It's like 2 of your favorite artists or 2 of your favorite rappers or whoever. It's like, yo, let's link up, son. Let's link up. We're going to do a collab. You know, next time you in town, come by the studio and we're going to link up. They did it on Instagram, or they did it on Facebook Live, or they did it on YouTube. So you like, yo, those are my 2 favorite artists. You know, it's going to be a male and female artist, of course. And, it's going to be my favorite. It's going to be the favorite duo, you know, back in the 90s when it was the favorite rapper and the favorite singer, right? They're going to link up. Yo, that song is going to be hot when it comes out. It never comes out. You see them going to the studio. You see them microphone check 1 2 1 2. You see all of them going through the motions, and you never get a tape. You never get a recording. Nothing ever comes out. And you're like, what? I thought y'all was going to do a collab together. What happened? Oh yeah, we did the collab. Okay, so what happened? Where is it? Nah. Yeah, nothing will be coming out. What? So the expectation is, if I say I'm going in the kitchen and you hear me banging pots, bang, 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 and you hear me doing all this stuff, you're like, yo, you smell the food? You're like, oh, this meal is about to be fire. I come out the kitchen with nothing. Like, what the box out? What you doing in the kitchen? I was just having a little fun. You know, and like I said, sex has been debased to the space where the expectation of something coming out, the return, there's no return on our investment. And actually we get upset, we get scared, we get all of these negative emotions and feelings. We go into denial, we go into slander campaigns. Or if something comes out, aka a baby, or proof that somebody went there and planted the seed, it has all of these negative connotations. Like this video if you're watching and you're enjoying it, because I know I'm stepping on a few toes, but it's out of love. Because if we don't elevate, then we won't elevate. You understand what I'm saying? If we don't elevate our thought and understand that it is in these areas that we are getting hit. It's like, for instance, this WAP video that came out and everybody was making noise, and then homegirl, files for divorce, and it was like, I guess WAP wasn't enough. You feel me? She's another example of the husband going out and laying with all of these different women while the wife is at home singing about, her crotches, her front. You know what I mean? It's like, where are we in 2020 at this point? And it's not anything new. Let's not be mistaken. In some studies, I do weird studies. So in some studies, I found, like, even in ancient Egypt, according to them, the women, in their effort to have ancient contraceptives, some would take alligator dung and fibers, cloth, to try to make something that's going to stop up the cervix so that she wouldn't conceive, right? Usually in the book of Jashar, it talks about women drinking a draught that rendered them barren. So this concept of barrenness, willful barrenness, is anything new. It's just the methods in which people would go to, and the technology and the medicine that people use. And for instance, that birth control pill, and the connection between cancer in a lot of women, there's a connection there. If we at any point do something to our system to prevent something, we must understand that it's going to have an effect on the other side. I can't go to the pipe and squeeze the pipe on one side and not think that somewhere else along this chain of command, I am not going to be tampering with something on the other side. So the things that birth control does, and the pills, and then the connection between women and cancer, oh no, Moon, it doesn't have any effect. Oh, really? You understand what I'm saying? Oh, really? If it doesn't have a physical effect, it has an emotional effect. If it doesn't have an emotional effect, it has a spiritual effect. Or it has all three. I don't know. This show, where the woman wanted to have a baby, and the man was concerned because after he already fathered 2 children in his previous marriage, he got a vasectomy. And she was from, I think, like Brazil or somewhere. So she was like, this is a foreign concept. The man's virility is connected to his manhood. So why would you willingly towards children and productivity? I don't know if this thing keeps going on. You understand? To me, my experience, they don't necessarily look at children as a benefit. Children here are looked at as a negative in many respects. And so when people see me with my children, they look at me like as if something is wrong with me. It's like 2.5. If you don't have 2.5 children and the half dog, you're off the chain. Something is wrong with you. And therefore, the laws and the way in which media and the way in which the social consciousness looks towards productivity or sexual productivity, they value the bag. You know what I mean? They value the bag, but they don't value human life to a certain degree. Because you would in metropolitan areas, you will see dogs in baby carriages. You will see people caring for a dog, an animal, better than, and have a better disposition and attitude towards an animal than they do towards a human being. I've seen it. You see somebody walking down the street and you're like, oh, they got a baby, and you look closer, it's a dog. And the pooch is going in the supermarket. The pooch is going in the stores. The pooch is going to, and it's like, oh, this is my dog baby. What? A dog baby? What damn that? Right? And it's more acceptable to have an animal than it is to have a child. And that just shows you, it gauges for you where we are. And then it helps us to see whether or not we are buying into this thought process. So one would say, well, Muna, you bugging. Because what are they supposed to do? All I'm saying is that there's a possibility that you accept the responsibility that when I go into this space, this is what can come of it. And then both parties being willing to deal with it. Because how is it that one party is saying, I need this for my very survival? That's the male. I need this for my very survival. If I don't have this, somehow they're not going to survive, right? But yet still a lot of the responsibility falls on the female. If whatever comes out, if you're on your own, or you're going to getting a benefit, and the other one is getting the responsibility, that seems like a little off. No? I know this is a wild, crazy subject. It's okay. But trust me, you don't have to trust me. Look at it. Just look at a lot of the issues that have arisen from people not wanting children, people giving children up for adoption, people suffering emotionally and mentally from either being told or being forced to, or not knowing that someone took and killed their child through abortion as means of birth control. And look at some of the emotional, the issues that have arisen from this particular area, and then tell me it's not something that we have to reevaluate. So yeah, what are your thoughts? If the woman denies, like in this situation, the husband for these reasons, is he justified in cheating or going outside of his marriage to look for someone else who's willing to put out? Let me know, y'all. So that's all I had to say on that one. I have another one, but I guess I'll save it for later. But yeah, that's what I got on that one. Let's re-examine reproduction. All of the diseases that are created, sexually transmitted as well as spiritually transmitted diseases, the abuse of our power, because that's where power is. This is why when a man goes into training, they say refrain. Or when they say refrain, because that's your power base. This is where you can harness the power and become stronger, or you can expend the power and become weaker, right? Why do they say you're going to box, you're going to run, you're going to do something, then you have to abstain for however months that you're trained, that you're preparing? Why do they say that? Why? If there's no truth to it, if there's no validity to what I'm saying, then why is that advised for people in professional sports and things of that nature? So anywho, I'm on my way in. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know this is a touchy subject because people was hopping in and hopping off and clicking that button. I ain't trying to hear what you got to say. That's crazy. Leave your comments below. Press like on the video, share, subscribe, all that nice stuff, and we'll talk again. All right.